Okay, so back to the slide. So to Dimension Plus, as I was saying, we're allowing you to create your own viewers. Obviously, you can do more. Can everyone hear me? Okay. I don't know if I have to hold the other mic. All right, so here I'm highlighting some of the differences I just mentioned. Actually, I didn't mention this yet. So the reason, again, we have a partner-only API is to give you more access, and otherwise give you full access to that. We provide some simple APIs for the open sense version, so that you have an easy way to access the data now without additional processing. But we realize there are developers out there that are really confident in this domain, and they can produce more effects if they have full access. So we do that point. This is what you'll see when you download the SDK. Feel free to download it now. If you haven't made, definitely do so. So we just have some libraries that are distributed with your GDG. We have pre-sample code and more coming. So I'm just going to walk through the three samples. So I mentioned Dimension Plus. So we kind of already did a demo there. You can see that. This one, we have full source code to it. And this is some of the classes involved with this. They're all in the same package. It's just a few number of classes. Geometry, so you can extract it. Maybe do something interesting with that geometry in the Dimension Plus. Maybe skew it, or maybe do something that we haven't thought of yet. Here's how you decode and display a Dimension Plus file. So we give you the APIs to, again, to extract the data, to display. We also give you a helper view class, the encoder. We give you the ability to handle sensor events. In fact, using the sensor, you can. We give you the ability just using the gyro, some methods on the viewer, on the custom viewer. You can go in there and change the renderer if you want. In fact, I have an advanced example that does that, so you can start converting these Dimension Plus files to animated GIFs. It makes it even easier to share your creation. This next one is a dual lens demo using the dual lens API. So in this example, we transition from to run that. So again, if you have difficulty seeing, let me know, and I'll describe it a little better. All right, this is the dual lens demo. So at the bottom of the photo you took, at the top, so we're providing the ability to create these color masks to display the depth information for a specific effect, the bokeh effect. The bokeh effect is what we saw earlier with the focus, so that it looks like what professional cameras do with having the background unfocused. Well, we give you the ability to send a parameter called strength to calculate these masks. So what I'm doing now is I'm pressing the button to different strength values, and you can see the different levels for this are displayed for this mask. Depending on the effects of one sheet, I'll just cycle through. It's 0 to 100. I just cycle through 10 by steps of 10. You can easily see what you can do. You can do further processing on the specific strength level to maybe mask out the background and do a foreground effect. And for that API, these are the classes involved.
Nice.
And this just illustrates exactly what I was saying. I'm stepping through the strength values as I click on the button. And here is where we actually set the strength, and we actually do everything through callbacks. So these callbacks to initialize the system, to make sure it's ready for processing, and to also tell us when you have the results back. And then you can draw the mask. Here we're using a photo mask to draw. And again, it doesn't have to be this, you know, you don't have to implement it this way. You can map the data in different ways and not just use the color map. All right, so we have a Dimension Plus geometry sample. So earlier, the Dimension Plus viewer showed you the 3D effect. Here we show extracting the geometry for that. And here we mapped it out to a grayscale image. So you can see the depth map data. And this is how you extract the depth map data. Again, these samples are all available via SDK for download. Again, we're just mapping into a bitmap. Again, express it in different ways. And this is one of the partner APIs. We use the full depth map so you can get more detail. There's the cost of the more detail in that there's some noise, there's some, there's some artifacts that could appear. But again, we're giving you this full power so you can do the processing, you can do the cleaning up, and have full access to that data. Now, one of the things I want to highlight here is a specific partner we started working with. That this is the original photo they took using an M8. Again, to clarify, every photo you take has the information to do this depth map processing. We refer to every photo as a dual lens photo. The Dimension Plus photo is specific to that 3D effect, so that when you save it, it's just for that one specific effect. With the full depth map, you can do any number of effects I illustrated before. Here, we're running the sample demo like I showed you in the previous slide, and this is the results we got. This company, ByArt, and I want to thank them for allowing me to show these images. But essentially, they went ahead and they said, well, we're kind of experts in this domain, and what we do is create avatars from photographs. So they've been doing this for some time, using several cameras and setups. They'll have the subject sit in the middle, and be able to create these 3D avatars from photos. So they want to do that with PMA, of course. And they took that full data, and instead of doing that simple demo, which I have, that just mapped it to grayscale 2D image, they created a complete 3D model of it. And just to give you an idea, I'm going to switch to that. And again, this is just taken from any photo that you take with an M8. And this is kind of what you can do with it. You can create a 3D model. See that, in fact, even more so than Dimension Plus, you can see a little more around the corners. Now, like I mentioned, there's a lot of noise and lack of resolution here, but you can process that out. You can process the floor out. You can cut out what you don't need and just focus on the object that you're focused on. It just gives you an idea of how you can map a dual lens image with depth map to the 3D object. And yeah, this is going to be improved over time. And with that, I'm going to wrap up and announce that we are having a special workshop on Friday afternoon. If you're interested in joining the agency and if you're really interested in learning more about this, or you have a product that relates to this, you have a good idea. It's more of a code lab, and it's hands-on. Bring the laptop. We'll provide you with phones to work with, and you may actually have to watch the phone there. So I just figured I'd announce this now. If you're interested, just contact me or Blaine Anderson, who's in the audience. It's also the agency. Just to get one of our business cards and see what we can do. There's only a few slots left. That's why I thought I'd announce it here. And just in time, Q&A right now. Yes, the results of processing.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sure. The question was that you don't need a phone for post-processing. That you can create, I guess, a viewer for the 3D data separately. Yes. For the Dimension Plus, yes. For the dual lens full depth data, you do need to run the API on the M8. But you can take that data, the geometry you extracted, and then create your own viewer. I technically was running it in a second viewer. So that's the 3D model that I was displaying. Converting it from the photo to the 3D model requires an M8 and the APIs. Yes. You can now put as much as you need with the SD card. We now starting to get make you can add more memory. Memory hasn't been an issue with this type of processing. Ideally, over time, like we've seen with Flash Tango, you want to move things to the hardware. So dedicated image processing and CPUs. We have some dedicated image processing, but it's not completely there yet. So obviously, these APIs, some of the libraries are native, and they're not back and running in a different Android device. Obviously, they're using image processing. So yes and no. It depends on the effects. Yes. That's a great question. I can't talk about roadmaps, but that's a good idea, and obviously a lot of people are interested in that. So that's it.
This stuff is really cool. I'm really inspired to make it apps using geometry effects. But my concern is that if this is only supported on HPC M8 phones, like how would I target those customers? Like, is there HPC that has its own app store, or how do I deploy it? So, like, people who don't have this camera, what is enabling it? And also, the follow-up question is, can you talk a little bit how you implement all of these filters and these effects? Because I spoke to Instagram guys a while ago, and they mentioned these native code. They write open the code to render some of those effects. How did you guys implement that?
How do we implement our effects? Go backwards. Use clever algorithms that are proprietary. No, you can use native code. I failed to mention you can use OpenGL. So, like I mentioned in Dimension Plus, I insisted internally that we get access to the renderer so that we can actually use OpenGL to do effects on that. And the data you get from the geometry, it's just straight OpenGL. You can put it to. I'm working on an OpenGL example for our workshop on Friday.
All the Java APIs, right?
Yes, you can take that data and do anything you want once you get that data. You can do any additional processing at a lower level. You can also use third-party or other APIs for image processing. You can render script all the time and have to do some effects as well. You can use whatever effective is possible for image processing. Now, going back to running on, this is something I've discussed with every SDK that we release. Again, you don't want to have necessarily, although we are the first here, an APK that says, works only on this. If you have an image effects application, you type to see if you're on HTC, then use this API. You can filter on the market, using the users feature in the manifest. So you don't have to worry about too much about will this fail if I try to run it on a different device. There are plenty of examples out there, and we'll include more examples that show you exactly how to do that. I've done that with every SDK previous to this, where I would create wrappers. So even if Google would say the next version of Android, or the version after that, includes similar APIs, we will provide compatibility wrappers, so you don't have to worry about compatibility issues in the future. Yes.
If you mention how the depth information, what sensor actually conveys that depth?
It's a very good question.
Would you repeat it, please?
really wants details on how the depth map, how it's encoded.
Can you repeat, please? Good question.
He wants the details that I can't really share on exactly how we store, we extract and calculate the depth map. But we're willing to talk to partners, so if you're interested in that part of this workshop. No, seriously, there's a lot there that I wish I could share, but there's a lot of reasons, licensing, et cetera, that really, at some point, hopefully we can share more. But we wanted to get something out to developers as soon as possible. So that's why we're giving you a very high level. In some cases, developers obviously want to dig deeper and lower and lower. So we're working in that direction. Yes, it's good.
Well, I find that the depth map feature is wonderful, but I believe you mentioned that it's limited to 8 bits per pixel. Doesn't that kind of limit the number of 3D or the type of 3D model that can, meaning that there's not enough resolution.
Right. At this time, again, for the reasons I just mentioned. So the question was, I put a spec that said 8 bits for the OpenSense version for the depth map. That's just a limitation because for the OpenSense, there's more bits. There's a fuller range in the partner version. And I'm hoping in the future we can roll that out to everyone to use, but it's a work in progress right now. So that's just a limitation. But if you run into the examples, you'll see that we can get away with that. We can do a lot. We have just 8 bits.
So what is that resolution? What's the smallest amount of depth that it can differentiate?
Smallest amount.
The difference in depth, I mean, it's 8 bits, but what does that resolve to as real world units?
So the question is, what does 8 bits really mean? What can that resolve to as real world example? That means maybe you can't insert pages inside the book, but you can insert people inside between other people. I'm trying to make light of it. I'm just saying you have at least that 256 levels of depth that you can play with as far as being able to do certain effects. Again, when you have a geometry, you can compensate for some of the limitations. Some advanced processing, you can play around with the textures in OpenGL so that you can minimize those. And it's because of the resolution that sometimes you'll see artifacts when you do the 3D, that parallax effect that I was showing, that things kind of stretch out abnormally. That's due to the fact that it doesn't have enough resolution. But what you can do now, again, this is the first step. This is the first commercially available depth tensor. We're going to improve that in the future. And that may involve more APIs and obviously in the future better. Yes.
If you use your SDK and compile your app, how much additional size does it add for the final application?
Oh, the libraries are small. That's significant. I don't know off the top of my head that I wouldn't worry about that. The bigger issue with the size of the photos, yes. But even that is not that significant. I wish I had the numbers. See me afterwards. We can actually look outside. Another question. No, that's not a reference to Portable. That was the code name for the actual device. And everyone kind of knew it, so you know how it goes with code names. It's not a secret, so you might as well use that as a product name. And that's kind of what happened there. That's a great question. Especially the question is the big issue about Oracle winning judgment with Java and Java. So it's a very broad question. It's a question for the whole Android community. I don't think it affects us directly because we're not providing APIs based on or similar to what Oracle provides. So the answer would be no, but this is again a greater issue out of this focus. Thanks for the question. Great, all of them are great questions, by the way.
So I'm really excited now to try that. Now I didn't download your custom emulator. There's like I can how do I go?
Oh, I didn't mention that. We don't provide an emulator for this. You need an MA to really experience this, and again, we're providing a few assistants so that you can target APKs for other Android devices. But ideally, you need an MA. You need to do device. One last question. Someone else. Give someone else a chance. Unless there's someone else, then yes, you'll have the last question.
I do have an Evo, like or Evo, that really down.
Yes, yes.
With the SVD support that
We maintain our SDKs. We call those legacy APIs. They're still available on our site. But we can talk offline if you have any questions with that, because I work in this area. Any other questions? Yes. I'm sorry, that was the last question. Thanks, Rita.
Right, so before we move to our second speaker, it's our Google host Martin's birthday today. So let's all sing him happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear.